There's a few Rise of Cyber tier lists floating around already and we gotta check it out, so let's get straight into it. Let's get the worst character out of the way, I guess. We have one D tier on this list and it belongs to Augmenter. I imagine she was placed so low because her ultimate deals damage to herself for a single target attack. However, I feel this needs a re-evaluation as the damage is simply immense, and she actually recovers the damage anyways. But for early game at least, this is a terrible choice of carry. Next is the C tier. These units are labeled as Underachievers with a few niche uses. I've seen multiple people in the Discord get walled and ask about their team, and the answer is usually to drop both Gunblade Rick Fissions. Their damage simply falls off in the mid-game. Data Hub is here presumably because her ultimate really takes over your entire strategy, requiring you to spam it over and over for an increasingly expensive cost. It kinda changes your gameplay to one-trick pony AoE, which doesn't really work all the time. The Prosthetic Doctor really muddied things up for this rank because while his kit can be a bit tedious to learn and complicated to understand, he is one of the only heroes that gets a free ult at match start once you max him. Again, probably not the best choices for early game, but it helps to watch out for stuff like that. Now for the B tier. These ones are just good. Not great, but you won't be at fault for investing in them. Aquila needs time to ramp up, but once she gets going, she's got insane crit rate and inflicts a lot of burns. Duke Silver and Barrage Fortress are both here as powerful tanks. Sometimes in Cyber Rebellion, enemies target your team in a pattern like from left to right. That's the perfect time to slot in a tank, and they are ready for it. Matrix Runner is pretty good because she can steal energy, allowing for some spammy plays. And APAT is not a character. Moving on. A tier next, and these guys are definitely worth the effort to obtain. If you got one, then use it. Byaku, Zangetsu, and Deatheye all do insane damage by working around their opponent's defense. These three actually pair perfectly with next on the list, Dirty Gold, who steals the opponent's attack and gives it to your carry while defense breaking multiple times. Oracle, Vanguard, and Ember and Ashes drastically increase your entire team's survivability. And Neuromancer deals consistent multi-hit damage based off her max HP, making her both a tank and damage dealer. And finally, the S tier. According to this list, these are the best in terms of game-changing abilities and effects. Ghost helps you set up that ideal AoE cleave team with a pretty decent AoE defense break on all enemies that also reduces enemy energy. Getting this off on turn 1 is a death sentence to the enemy. Starring Diva is the cream of the crop when it comes to support since she's got not only the usual heals but also cleanses to help deal with the pesky debuffs in this game. Suzaku rains Hellfire on enemies with an AoE that inflicts burn, but while stacking burn on foes, she gains a stacking attack buff on herself. The buff also adds to her ignore defense and builds into a massive single target strike. And Vermilion Dawn is the other burn S tier with a plethora of burny abilities and a general increase to burn damage across the board for your whole team. And that's the end of the... Oh wait, how are we at the end already? Seems like even though the tier list says it was updated this month, they didn't account for the open beta launch, which has more heroes than the list does. So real quick, I'll just do my best to give the most relevant rating I can. Speed to Burn puts up a wall for your team that inflicts burns on attacking enemies. As a counter-offensive, it's at least an A tier if not a low S. Burst Boxer has two crazy AoE attacks that break shields and do outrageous damage, best to pair him with a healer, but S tier. Cyryu does a lot, but most notably he increases your entire team's crit rate by 15% and 30% himself, so with a team of 6, that's 105% crit rate. I don't want to say another S tier, but truth be told, these guys are way better than some of the old ones. Vicious Rose gets a strong single target nuke that turns AoE when the overflow damage spills onto other enemies. If she's maxed and the nuke doesn't kill, then it banishes the enemy from the fight. Not bad at all. A tier. I hate this name, and I hate even more that I pulled her, but Foamy Sweet Dream is exceptionally good for stun locking enemies with delayed stuns from her bubbles. She is however the absolute worst pick for boss fights, so I'll set her in the B tier. Rick the New Order brings his synergy line back to the top because he's an easy S tier if not the first double S tier. The AoE damage he deals with two abilities coupled with the Electrify debuff means he can deal top damage in an AoE situation. We have two Frost Omens for some reason, so I'll just refer to them as black and red. Omen Black does top tier single target damage and constantly buffs his own attack with undispellable blessings, maybe like an A tier. And Omen Red expends and regains HP to modify his damage. He's got an ability that refills his energy and heals, and then an ultimate AoE making him a decent tank bruiser, A tier. And finally, Hound of Doom uses synchronization to enhance her skill effects and apply bleeds to enemies, S tier. Now let's be real here. We all knew that going into this the list would be whack, but they at least tried. If anything, it's about the same views I had on the game whenever I first started playing. Back then the game was called The Rise of Cyber, and if you want a little more detail on some of those ratings, it may be a bit dated, but at the end of the day we're all quite fresh to the game just looking for info. So if you have any good info to contribute, please drop it in a comment. Rest assured I'm working tirelessly on this game to give you a more accurate and original list in the future. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, then feel free to subscribe, but other than that, y'all, that's gonna do it for me today, and I'll see y'all later, bye. Cyryu does a lot.